Everyone, welcome back to my channel. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to brand and market yourself with astrology. And in today's video, we are going to be discussing the Scorpio midheaven, what it entails, how it'll help you with your career, your public image, and how you want to be seen overall within the modern world. So if you're a Scorpio midheaven, and this is something that you're totally interested in, definitely keep listening and watching. Also, don't forget to stick around because there will be a surprise at the end of this video. Starting off with the basics. Midheaven and Scorpio, when it comes to the colors of this midheaven and what colors will really look the best on you, you're going to want to look at the darker tones like black, burgundy, and maybe even a magenta or a dark purple, and definitely red. Not only is Scorpio ruled by Mars, the planet of war and aggression, it is also ruled by Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation and sex. And so when you think of Mars and Pluto energy, generally the colors that really embody these planetary energies are red and black typically. So if you do have a Scorpio midheaven, you'll find that when you wear these colors, red, black, magenta, dark purple, etc., you will attract more attention to yourself and you will seem more vibrant because the 10th house is our public image. It is the exact archetype that we should embody to attract others to us. So, naturally, when you start to sort of embody your 10th house energy, when you start to embody your midheaven, you're going to find a lot of people, that sounded really weird, you're going to find a lot more people attracted to you, when you start embodying your midheaven. So in your case, since you have Scorpio here, red, black, dark purple are going to be the colors that look the most profoundly on you. Okay, so now that we've gone over the type of colors that will look the best on you, we're going to be talking about the types of archetypes that will work the best with your public image. And I will now be discussing the types of archetypes that work well with Scorpio midheavens in a more marketable way. For example, if you are an influencer or if you have a business and you are looking for a type of aesthetic, a type of artistic vision, or if you generally would like to become more attractive, these archetypes are really popular, with this specific midheaven. And you'll find that once you sort of lean into the energy of these archetypes that I will be listing and embody this energy slightly, you will attract more attention and fame to you even. Because again, the 10th house is the public image. It is fame. It is your reputation. So let's dive right in. Scorpio is ruled by, again, Pluto and Mars. Pluto rules over death, rebirth, transformation, sex, this esoteric energy. Mars rules over aggression, violence, war, bloodshed, anger, all of these harsh emotions. And so the first archetype that goes really well with the Scorpio midheaven, since it's a blend of these planetary energies, is of course the vampire. Vampires are actually ruled by Scorpio, but for example, Megan Fox has a Scorpio midheaven, and Ian Somerhalder also has a Scorpio midheaven, and these two people, I believe, have played vampires in a lot of films actually. Going over this later, but in general, I feel like with the Scorpio midheaven, if you're looking for a sort of aesthetic or a type of branding or marketing, that you really want to really make permanent and make a name for yourself, the vampiric aesthetic is definitely a style that will work for you and that will mesh well with you. And it's a style and it's a type of aesthetic that others will respond to greatly because, you're embodying your midheaven. It's what works for you. It doesn't have to be any part of your identity, but it's sort of like your alter ego. So definitely, if you're a Scorpio midheaven, tapping into that vampire essence, that vampiric sort of aesthetic, and really explore that, you can definitely attract others to you and make yourself more marketable with that. So the second archetype is one of my favorites actually, because again, Pluto rules over death, destruction, decay, evil, even. It's power. It's tied to sex also. You know, it's this very dark, cosmic, esoteric energy, Scorpio. So this next archetype is another one that I love, and it's the villain archetype. So when I say villain, I don't mean you have to like unalive anyone or anything like that. Like, God, no, please don't. I do not condone violence. But however, I have noticed people with Scorpio 10th house or even Scorpio 11th house, there is a lot of controversy tied to their public image usually. And it's sort of this archetype where they aren't afraid of chaos. They aren't afraid to rock the boat, stir the boat. And the actors that often do have the Scorpio midheavens, they will play these sort of diabolical characters in media. For example, Ian Somerhalder, he played Damon in The Vampire Diaries, which was a very diabolical, sort of controversial character. And he wasn't a villain, but, you know, he was like definitely very controversial in The Vampire Diaries. The type of character that he played was very diabolical. It was sort of evil. He was like sort of the evil brother. And this is very common with Scorpio 10th house. Another example would be Zendaya. So Zendaya has a Scorpio 10th house, and she played in Euphoria. And while she wasn't a vampire and she didn't embody, you know, this sort of esoteric or like dark energy, the character that she played in Euphoria was sort of another archetype that I will be talking about later. But her character was definitely controversial. And there was a lot of moments in, you know, that show where she was not the hero. You know, she was actually the villain. And oddly enough, Euphoria is one of her most popular roles that she's ever played in. You know, people really recognize her from Euphoria specifically. And I believe it was because she was embodying some of her Scorpio midheaven traits. Understand that having Pluto ruling over your 10th house means that at some point in time you will most likely be hated. You will most likely be villainized over something. You most likely will be canceled over something. But that's because of the dualistic energy of Scorpio. A lot of people don't take Scorpio energy well because it's so blatant and it's so raw that it sort of throws people off the boat. And you have to understand that on the other side of hatred is also love. So definitely that's also something to look out for, because I know that Scorpio hate can be super real. A lot of Scorpio placements will attract this controversy and this hatred from others sometimes in their lives because they're just so bold and they aren't afraid. You know, the energy of Pluto gives you, you know, this vitality to you that others don't understand, and it's because they're afraid of it, okay? They're afraid of the power that a lot of Scorpio placements possess, and it's something spiritual, it's something deeper. And I'm not a Scorpio placement, but I feel like a lot of them are very deep. And, you know, I feel like it takes a Scorpio person to explain this, but it's one of my favorite signs. This is why I love them. But it's a very, you know, deep and intense placement. And when you have it in your 10th house, ruling over your public life, fame, reputation, your career, understand that when it comes to these things, this plutonic energy is going to follow you. And while it can and will be amazing, the hatred, you know, from others is something that unfortunately will be attached to you at some point. For example, Ariana Grande has a Scorpio 10th house, and someone always has something to say about Ariana Grande specifically. You know, she could just be sitting and talking, and someone will have something to say about her. And it is because of her Scorpio 10th house. You know, the plutonic energy just attracts that controversy. Nicki Minaj doesn't have a Scorpio 10th house, but she has a Scorpio 11th house, which is your social network, your friends, your fans, the people that support you. And she is always in controversy in the media somehow. So understand with having, Scorpio in the 10th house, you sometimes will, or others might frame you as like this sort of villain character, this controversial archetype, And honestly, I don't think you should be afraid of it. I think you should embrace it. It's similar to Regina George in Mean Girls, when everyone was against her, she kept turning like her lemons into lemonade. So in your case, definitely tap into that energy. So the next archetype is going to be the femme fatale, or if you're a guy or a man or anything like that, then it would be, the player, the F-boy, but very seductive and sleek. It's like not trickery vibes like Mercury, Gemini, Virgo. It's not this movie star persona like Leo or sun-ruled individuals. It's not this loving, sweet energy like Cancer. This is very seductive, straight seductive energy. This archetype of the femme fatale, the player, it's very erotic. And so when you embody this sort of erotic atmosphere about yourself, and everything about you is just so deep and intimate and spiritual and soulful, and you reel people in, and you know how to embody your dark seductive energy, and you make people feel very sensual, and just embodying the energy of seduction. That is an archetype, the femme fatale, the player, the F-boy, making people feel good. That is a Scorpio archetype, in my opinion. And, when you tap into this, you will be more attractive. You will attract others to you. And it is an archetype that works really well with you. So, anything erotic, anything that is sensual, that is going to be a style or aesthetic that works best for you. For example, like wearing leather, playing around, I don't know, leather is sort of erotic, right? Playing around with roses, darker colors and, things like that. Because again, the 10th house is, or not the 10th house, Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. And sex is also tied to Pluto and Scorpio. So, those could also, I forgot to preface this by saying, sex and things like that, those are going to be things that are going to be tied to your public image, unfortunately. So with a placement like this, you might find that others sexualize you a bit, and they can't seem to see you beyond this facade of sensuality and eroticism. So if you're going to be embodying this sort of femme fatale, F-boy, this sort of player, type of archetype, be very careful, because once you embody your midheaven, and once you start to use your midheaven, others will actually start to reject your true identity, because your midheaven is like fame. Your midheaven is essentially your public image, and it is how everyone sees you, and it's your career. And so once you start to really use your midheaven and embody these aesthetics, these archetypes, it's going to be hard for people to separate you from this if you ever go stray from it, or if you ever, want to do something entirely different from your midheaven. So, yeah, you've been warned. Another archetype is the addict, and I will explain more about this. So this could mean that you literally are addictive. Like your presence, your vibe, your aura, everything about you could be addictive. It's sort of this energy where you attract others to you without even trying. I've noticed that happens a lot with Scorpio 10th houses, and they will play roles. They will play these roles that really embody their 10th house, this sort of addictive addict energy, this sort of, soul-sucking Scorpio 8th house energy. For example, when you think of an addict, you think of someone taking something from you, or you're literally addicted to someone, like candy, right? Well, a lot of actors and actresses who have, Scorpio 10th houses will literally play roles that embody this sort of addict energy. Like, for example, when you think of a vampire or a siren, a succubus, a sorceress, something like that. I know Megan Fox, she played in a lot of vampire films, or films that incorporated, a lot of this Scorpio sort of erotic seductive energy. And I know that Ian Somerhalder, again, how I mentioned, he played a vampire as well, and that was his most popular role ever. Zendaya in Euphoria, she was addicted to drugs, and that was her entire persona on the show. And it was, that Scorpio archetype of being an addict, of being obsessed with that one thing, of being addictive. That is an archetype of the Scorpio 10th house. Dakota Johnson is also a Scorpio 10th house, and, her most famous role was 50 Shades of Grey, and she was a sex addict almost, right? And that is also a theme of Scorpio, of Pluto. So you can use this by marketing your way and making yourself appear in a way that is very seductive and erotic and addictive. You could learn about seduction techniques, and you can alter your personality and craft yourself in a way that is more alluring through the art of seduction. I recommend actually The Art of Seduction, the book by Robert Greene. And the 48 Laws of Power is also an interesting one. Or not power, but the 48 Laws of Human Nature. The 48 Laws of Human Nature, my bad, is another good book to, really read. I think it's great if you have a lot of Scorpio placements or a Scorpio 10th house, because it's a very psychological placement, and you deal a lot with human psychology and the psychology of people. And, that is a superpower that a lot of Scorpio placements have. So, by learning how to become more alluring, more seductive, you will definitely step into, your 10th house energy and, seduce others by embodying these archetypes. So the 10th house not only rules over our public image and how we're seen to others, but it also rules over our career. And, the type of professions that we're interested in, the type of things that we're gravitated towards, the type of things that will actually click with us as forms of work and a career. And so when it comes to having a Scorpio 10th house, the type of career that, you will be the most successful in are going to be things within the justice system, the criminal system, like law, crime, things like that, like a police officer, a guard, a detective, even a spy, anything secretive and sort of hidden, or a career that has a lot of layers and that is difficult or complex. Another career could be someone in the occult, like someone who is into tarot or astrology, someone who is spiritual, someone who is into esotericism. Scorpio is also, like I said, it's very spiritual, it's very deep. So you could also be a priest or a pastor in some type of way. Someone who is very in tune with the spiritual world, who is very in tune with the other side, who, is tapped into that type of energy. People with Scorpio 10th houses tend to be, very spiritual. They attract others with influence. And a lot of people can tend to be obsessed with them in this sort of cultish way due to that dualistic addictive energy of Pluto. You could also be an entertainer. You could be a model or someone who is into even sex work, even, because that is very Plutonic. So definitely the entertainment industry, because when you think of things like being a model or an actress, I feel like those can also be very Plutonic, because, if you're a model, if you're someone working in fashion, you're obsessing over your appearance, you're obsessing over, different things. Or if you are, again, a sex symbol or into sex work, I guess that falls under the same category, like a sex symbol, a model, an actress, people like that. Definitely Scorpio midheavens, because you have to keep a low profile in general, and you're sort of detached from the general public. And with Scorpio, there is a lot of detachment, because with Pluto, it's sort of hard to explain, but to attract that much attention from people, to be seductive, to be alluring, you have to sort of separate yourself. There is a sort of detachment that lies there. It's very similar to Aquarius in that sense. So now for the final bit of this video, I am going to be talking about Scorpio midheaven branding. So what I'm about to tell you is the exact type of branding that will work the best for you having a Scorpio midheaven. So Scorpio energy, like I've previously said before, is controversial. It is entering your villain era. It is not being afraid to piss others off. The type of colors that look well on you are red, black, purple, darker tones. The type of archetypes that work best for you is anything addictive, anything seductive, anything magnetic, anything even gothic. But Scorpio branding is very powerful. And when you really tap into it, you will really start attracting an audience to yourself. So if you're an influencer or a YouTuber or a streamer, or anyone sort of in that sort of entertainment type of space, when you sort of embody the Scorpio aesthetic, you'll find that your views may go up, your likes may go up, people might be more attracted to you. I also made a video about the moon sign makeup, so if you have Scorpio 10th house, look for the water sign makeup video if you wear makeup, because I do go over Scorpio makeup in that video. Typically anything with a smoky eye, anything with eyeliner, a red lip, think Morticia Adams, think Kat Von D, think of Angelina Jolie or Megan Fox. That is the type of makeup, the type of style that will look the best on you. And if you are a man or you identify as a male, think of a vampire. Ian Somerhalder in The Vampire Diaries. Another person who has a Scorpio midheaven is Zac Efron. And, it's this just sort of magnetic, seductive, like playboy type of energy, type of vibe, if you know what I mean. So in types of styling and looks, sort of try to style yourself in a way like that. Now, if you have a business and you also have a Scorpio 10th house, then I would structure the overall vibe and, essence of your business in a way that feels very luxurious and very inclusive and expensive. And I would utilize memberships and email lists. And I would not market myself in a way that is just for anybody, or that is all-inclusive, because Scorpio is very seclusive. So if you have a Scorpio 10th house and you have a business or you want to run a business, you should get very specific on your target audience, get very specific on your niche. Don't become inclusive, of anything. Be very seclusive and know what your image is, know who you're selling to, know whose needs you're fulfilling. Don't just be for everybody, because that energy is not energy that resonates with you. Like, it'd be different if you had a Sagittarius midheaven, because Sagittarius midheavens is that very inclusive energy, or like a Leo midheaven. That's a very vibrant, a very loud, type of energy. It's like, oh, everyone can join me. Everyone is a part of my club. Scorpio is a little bit bougie. It's a little bit more luxurious. It's a little bit more secretive. It's like, no, not everyone's welcome. We only sell specific things to specific people. And if you don't meet my list, then oh well. That's the best way to explain it. And if I were a Scorpio midheaven, actually, I would structure my business in that exact way, because that is the way that, it will work. Think private memberships, think email lists, think, personally, sending letters out to people who buy your things. I don't know, just the intricate detail. It's about the little things, the very things that make people feel very special and inclusive and a part of a club. That is the Scorpio midheaven energy. It's the bouginess, it's the, it's just very secretive. It's like, if you know, and if you don't, then oh well, And if I were you, that's how I would structure my business. It shouldn't be for just, anybody. Because that's honestly how you're going to get sales. No, but seriously. Scorpio midheaven does really well with a luxurious exclusive, memberships only type of thing, you know, like secret society vibes. That is so, oh my God, so secret society vibes. Like, you don't even know. But yeah, if I had a business, that's how I would structure it. If I were an influencer or an entertainer, I would go with the aesthetic that I mentioned earlier. And if I were building my career and I had a Scorpio 10th house, I would try and tap into some of the career fields that I listed earlier. You know, anything with dealing with the themes of the 8th house, like death, taxes, finance, law, crime, detectives, even military, I feel. Becoming a mortician, you know, dealing with things like that, a model, sex work, the entertainment industry. Those are all things that will work for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you're a Scorpio 10th house or if you're a Scorpio placement, I'd love to know. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And also the surprise that I wanted to say in the beginning of the video. If you're still interested about, you know, your Scorpio midheaven, Scorpio 10th house, and you just want a more in-depth guide on how to market yourself the best way with astrology, I actually just published an ebook and it's on my website and it's going to be in the link in my bio. And, you know, hopefully that will help you if you're an influencer, business owner, entertainer, or if you're generally just curious and you want to become more attractive and build your career and public image. My ebook will definitely help you. So just click the link down below and you will be guided there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.